The terrible thing about working in the mainstream media is that there's always vultures circulating. Oh, absolutely. And over right now in the mainstream media, there are a lot of people circulating this particular individual. You will recall, of course, that he was literally the main broadcaster for the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Hugh Edwards, a man trusted with delivering the sad news to the nation of our dearly departed Queen Elizabeth II, and of course so many other major royal events like the Platinum Jubilee. Of course, now we know Hugh has been, shall we say, rested, let go, whatever you want to call it, after he fell into disgrace. And it's interesting to note that while the BBC are yet to confirm 100% that he will not be coming back to the corporation, every visage of him has been removed from Broadcasting House. You see, he used to be inside the lifts. There were major pictures of him up and down the corridors. He was seen as the ultimate BBC broadcaster, their biggest star. But now there's a bigger dilemma behind the scenes. Let me explain. Morning, how are you? Nice to see you today. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll have a quick wave. Yes, by the way, on this day, this might make you feel a little bit queasy, it did me in fact. Well, on this day in 1912, a very brave gentleman called Albert Berry literally did the very first parachute jump from an aeroplane in Missouri. Now, think about that, right? You know, it's never been done before, and do you know what I'm saying? Already you're up in something of a rickety plane, probably held together with a bit of string and that sort of stuff, and suddenly you're going to be throwing yourself out of that. I think what a brave man. That's the thing about history. There's always somebody first who's brave enough to do these things themselves. Of course, now, you know, there are still a few tragedies, but what a great leap of faith he did for us to make sure that that was a usable factor moving forward in the aviation world. Now, some people might say it's not a movable factor over at the BBC. Let me tell you, because there are a lot of people literally vying around like vultures waiting for the demise of this particular gentleman, Hugh Edwards. And this is because Hugh Edwards is on £250,000 per year plus bonuses to, or was, should I say, to read the main news at 10. Now, you wouldn't think there's a problem with that. Well, no, he's been suspended since last July on full pay. Now, the BBC can't get rid of him or fire him because he's literally on mental health grounds. So it would seem very cruel, wouldn't it, to remove him during that particular period. But how long is that going to go on? You see, the British taxpayer, which funds the BBC, are literally funding this man to stay at home. The bottom line is somebody needs to draw a line under that and decide whether he's ever going to return to work or not. But as I said, everything's been removed from the BBC. So clearly they've made up their mind. Also, there's, shall we say, consternation in the background with people like this. They're all vying for the top job. The top job is reading the news at 10. That is seen as the most prestigious job, reading the news in the BBC. So many names in the frame. Sophie Rayworth, a former BBC Leeds presenter. Clive Myrie, yes, remember about him. We told you about him a while back, right? And of course, Laura Koonsberg, who could even return to maybe the flagship of reading the news. Not something she's really done before, but apparently, according to the BBC, she's a box office star. Now, what I feel sorry for is Hugh Edwards. Whatever he's done, it's his problem. He's got to live with it. But imagine, whatever people say, working in a room, circulating with people like that, ready to peck away the minute your crown slips. And more importantly, why haven't the BBC stopped paying or indeed alerted the great British public that are still paying for absenteeism from work? Hugh is literally just the tip of the iceberg at the BBC. Trust me. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.